That became hard.
Oh gosh, can you get it? Not meant for tall people.
No, it's weird. They don't give you any like leg room. I always wonder like who drives these buses that doesn't need leg room.
Yeah.
Come on, Big Daddy. I gotta turn around.
Oh man.
We have a little. This is just kind of grown up. This is usually our turnaround area. It'll look better. Yeah, hog plumb.
Hey, are there wild hogs here, like wild boars or something?
Lots of wild pigs.
Are they trying to trap them?
I think FWC, yeah, they do active trapping to try to remove them.
Do they kill them?
I think, yes, they do some, and they do, I don't know if they do relocation or not, but yeah, I think they do, that's the humane way to remove them.
Does that seem to be having much of an impact?
They're not native.
They're real bad.
Are you talking about the trapping?
The trapping, is that helping very much?
Not really. It just keeps it from being any worse than it could be, but
right. Seems like whenever I see them, they got about 20 babies trailing after them. Seems like they breed like crazy.
They breed like crazy.
The one advantage of it is, I didn't realize this, but I guess some of these pigs that are trapped, they can, you know, after they're killed, they can be butchered and sent to different food banks.
Yeah.
You know, it's eligible to be distributed to those
Prisons
So
are starting to take pig and deer, doe in an area where they have high deer populations that are starving themselves to death. They don't get managed.
Right.
Mainly because we've taken all the big predators out, like wolves and coyotes and panthers. Without them, they help really manage the population. But for years, people believed that, you know, any predator's a bad animal because they eat my cow or my horse.
I know.
We've kind of gotten away from that, and we realized that if you don't have the predators, then all our prey starve to death. Yeah. So it's a big balance that you need to, you know, really cohesively work together. That way you can get them both working the system back again. And right now we're just trying to get back to where we were back, you know, 50, 60 years ago. I mean, the panthers were almost completely extinguished, and they're barely hanging on as it is. Especially with all the inbreeding they have problems with. They still have a lot of different panthers. They have to bring them in from Texas and California to try to bring the new genes into the gene pool. Otherwise, they don't proliferate.
So I guess they must be the exact same species.
You know, those concolor, yeah, they're all the same. I think they might have subspecies, what they consider.
Yeah, the Florida panther did have traits unique to it that the mountain lion out west doesn't have.
They said a crooked tail tip was always its telltale sign.
Yeah, but
but they've been pushed so bad that they're willing to introduce variation now.
And it really worked well because there were some really severe genetic traits that really impacted whether these things are going to make it long term. And I think, like, if you looked at the offspring of a Texas female and a Florida panther male, if you look at their kittens, like, I think of all the kittens born in the next 2 years between those type pairings, I think 1 out of 17 still showed inbred traits. I mean, it was almost like an immediate relief. And then, like I think those traits have almost disappeared in the entire Florida panther population. Actually, that's successful. And you know, the real concern was, well, if you're bringing in genetic material from elsewhere, like, could the Florida panther genetic material be lost out? And I think it was a valid concern, but you know, the way they did it, they brought in 8 healthy Texas cougars, females, but you know, they weren't continually doing that, just one-time introduction. And it seems to be helped because we don't really see the loss of the Florida panther specific traits in the population.
What is that trait that you're hoping to see?
I think a little bit smaller body size because of I mean, Texas is hot, don't get me wrong, they need to be small out there too, but I think because of the heat and the humidity that we have, I think it favors a still even yet smaller body size. And also out west, you know, where the cougars are, they just roam like open rocky hillsides, but ours are like confined to sort of thickly vegetated areas, and that alone favors even a little bit smaller body size. I think the coloration of Texas cougars is a little bit more uniform, whereas ours has that a little bit darkly colored tail at the tip. There's a couple other things, and they're fairly haven't seen sort of like the appearance of what looks like to be Texas cougar traits in our cats. They've really kept the Florida traits.
But I've also read somewhere they're not even sure like what if those traits they're attributing to the Florida Panther were caused by inbreeding already before they started studying them, or whether they were, you know, acquired over time. Like that's like the crook in the tail. That was a big thing. Like they have some kind of crook in the tail. Like does that really mean anything? Like was that already something that just got selected out due to already declining populations?
I think they think that is due to inbreeding.
Wow. You know, so some people are kind of wondering about the traits we saw in Florida Panther were actually due to inbreeding.
Yeah, that kink in the tail is actually consistently one vertebrae in the tail just is malformed. It's
not good.
So it causes that. You know, now it's not thought that
It doesn't harm the panther.
they don't think it really harms the panther anyway, but they do think that that's a genetic trait that, you know, if it was a big healthy population,
That mutation wouldn't be.
you know, because it's likely recessive, meaning both copies of a gene had to be bad to get that, and so they think that just, you know, it's not affecting their health, but because when you have really small populations, things that are quite rare genetically have a much better chance of getting fixed in the population and therefore everyone having it. Whereas, you know, if that trait popped up in Texas cougar, I bet you wouldn't see it long. It just doesn't have a chance to last when there's a much bigger population.
How many more stops are we going to do? Like 5?
We're going to do 2 more.
And have you ever heard Panther Walk Preserve? You got Everglades Boulevard. They're living down 60th Avenue.
There's an elementary school up on Everglades Boulevard, and then it's
Yeah,
there's a preserve on the other side.
yeah,
Are you talking about Palmetto Ridge or is it Palmetto?
it's off of Everglades. It's 60th or something.
It's
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah, that's we have. I don't know if they're. You talking they have like a little school preserve there?
Yeah, it's a preserve. It's like doesn't really have a
Panther Walk
parking lot.
Preserve.
It's called Panther Walk.
yeah.
Okay.
Do they actually, I don't know, do they actually allow the public?
Yeah, they do. That is
We went there
really
and
trail.
we thought we were on a trail, and we're not on a trail. To get the GPS out.
Hey, guess what? Last time I went there, I saw 2 deer.
Yeah, we saw deer there.
And I got one on film.
It was exciting.
Well, when I was here out in the summer, I saw a couple bears. A bear and a
Oh,
cub.
cool.
Pretty cool. First time I've seen the bear out here. I've seen a lot of bear sign.
Right.
You go when I do a lot of inventory, you'll see where they get in an area, they'll smaller cabbage palms, they'll rock them and break them open to get the bugs inside, and they pretty much strip all the bark off, and you can really see. It's pretty cool to go out in these areas and see their feeding. You know, they're not there when we're out there walking through the woods, but
I think they even eat the heart of palm.
yeah, they probably eat the heart of the palm and dig for all the insects once they, because you'll see when they're knocking it over, and you can tell they come back later, where instead they know that that's like a bug harvester. You know?
Yeah, I mean, y'all probably have never done this, but if you cut a cabbage palm, like, you know, say like leave a stump, you can come back in like maybe 2 hours, and you'll have these giant red and black beetles already trying to get in there and start eating on it, because it's a native beetle. It helps sort of keep cabbage palms in check historically, but when you cut a cabbage palm, I guess there's these volatiles that are released from the stump that, you know, I guess if a sick cabbage palm is snapped over in wind, or if it gets lopped on its side from you know, the soils are wet and the roots give, you know, there's probably like these stress chemicals that the plant releases, and those bugs just hone right in on it. And it's amazing to see like 10 of these giant beetles just
them otherwise.
working their way into it.
Bears